Alright, what is up everybody, and welcome back to the Progressive Skills in English Level 3 coursebook. In today's recording, we're going to be going over the writing section. We're going to be talking about rehearsal and prompts. Okay, so again, we're going to start with very simple reviewing vocab here. So let's take a look. Here we have complete each word from the theme with the missing vowels. So here we have some words that are missing some vowels. Okay, and I'm pretty sure you guys know what vowels are by now. So let's go with number one. What do you guys think? I'd say component, right? So C-O-M-P-O again, N-E, right? Component. Then we have number two, memory, right? M-E-M-O-R-Y. Three is actually theory, right? Something that's it's circulating but doesn't have enough evidence. Okay, so it's just a theory in scientific experimentations, for example. Okay, so T-H-E-O-R-Y. Then we have number four. What do you guys think? That's correct. We can say interval. So I-N-T-E-R-V-A-L. Interval. Then we have number five. What do you guys think number five is? I know this one can be a little bit, it can be difficult. So we'll say repetition. Okay, so we spell it like this: R-E-P-E-T-I-T-I-O, or I-O-N. Okay, five, repetition. Then we have number six, efficient. Okay, so E-F-F-I-C-I-E-N, or okay, E-N-T. Okay, efficient. Then we have number seven. What do you guys think? That's correct. We can say variety. So V-A-R-I-E-T, or I always make this mistake, V-R-I-E-T-Y. I should get rid of this E here and write it here. Okay, so variety. And finally, we have number eight, encode. So E-N-C-O-D and a silent E. So encode. Okay, so component, memory, theory, interval, repetition. Actually, interval here has only one L, so that's my bad. Then we have five, repetition, efficient, variety, and encode. Okay, so that was exercise A. Now let's go to exercise B here. So here we have the vocab box, and what I want you guys to do is actually write these down, because we're gonna use most of these words right now. So I want you guys to write these down, right? And again, practice your pronunciation, but now go and check all of the meanings of these words. Make sure that you know what every single word in this vocab box means, okay? Because these two texts right here are gonna heavily rely on you understanding what these words mean. Okay, so let's go. Here we have adult, demonstrate, ensure, name, opportunity, prompt, recall, retrieval, short-term memory, storage, store, theory, variety, without. Okay, so that was the vocab box. Now let's go to text number one. Here we have, I'm gonna read it and then I'll just write the correct words as we go from the vocab box. So we have, in 1959, two researchers conducted an experiment into memory. What do you guys think? We'll say memory, right? Into memory storage. Okay, I just said memory twice. That's my bad. So storage, let me write that A down. Okay, so in 1959, two researchers conducted an experiment into memory storage. Okay, and then the experiment, what can we say? We can probably say the word demonstrate, but well, we can use different forms for words if necessary, so we'll have to say demonstrated here. I'm not going to just say demonstrate and leave, right? I'm going to say the experiment demonstrated because it's in the past, right? Past tense. So demonstrated the value of rehearsal in storing new information. The researchers were called Lloyd and Margaret Peterson. They showed participants three-letter combinations like B, G, H for a few seconds, right? The combinations did not make words. Then they asked the participants to count backwards from 100 in threes. So for example, 100, 97, 94, etc. This, what do you guys think? Keep going. So this dash, that the participants did not have the dash to rehearse the letters. So we can probably say ensured, right? Again, ensured, right? Just ensured means to make sure, okay? So this ensured that the participants did not have the, what do you guys think? We'll probably say opportunity, right? So opportunity to rehearse the letters, okay? So ensured and opportunity, all right? Finally, they asked the participants to say the letters. Most participants could not recall the new information. This shows that new information does not stay in short-term memory dash rehearsal. So we know that rehearsal means to say things over and over, so we'll say without. The word without, here it is. So without rehearsal, okay? So this shows that new information does not stay in short-term memory without rehearsal. Alright, you guys, so that was text number 1. Again, keep your eye on the vocab box. Tick the words that were used. So we have storage, demonstrated, ensured, opportunity, and without. Now let's go to text number 2. In 1975, a group of researchers conducted an experiment into memory. What do you guys think? Let's take a look here. We can probably, so we said storage here, so I think this one's going to be different. So we'll probably say retrieval. Okay, so R-E-T-R-I-E-V-A-L, retrieval. The experiment demonstrated the value of, probably say prompts, right? From prompts, so prompts in remembering old information. The researchers were led by Dr. Harold Barrick. They asked adult participants to give the names of their classmates at school. They did not show them photographs. Many people over 60 could not remember the names. What do you guys think? We'll say without. Where is it? I think it's right here. Yeah, without. So, could not remember the names without any prompts. Okay, so whenever you're in doubt about which word to choose, always read the whole sentence. Even read a little bit forward so you'll get a better idea of what the word should be. Okay, so without any prompts. Then the researchers showed the participants photographs. Most participants could dash the majority of their classmates. Okay, so this one's simple. Could name, okay, the majority of their classmates. Here we have name, okay? This shows the difference between dash, which is keeping information in memory. This one's simple. Storage, okay, which is keeping information in memory. Again, read after so you can get a better clue. And dash, which is getting information out of memory. This one's retrieval, okay? So we'll use it twice. Here we have R-T-R-I-E-V-A-L, retrieval, which is getting information out of memory. People dash information in memory, but they often cannot recall it without a prompt. So people store, okay, coming from the word storage, all right? Store information in memory, but they often cannot recall it without a prompt, okay? So these were the two texts. Now, what I want you to do for exercise C is take a look at these two texts again, all right? So I think you got an idea of how, throughout this whole theme of how, memory works. If you want to add your own text or basically edit and rewrite, you can do that. I mean, it's actually better if you take a look and try to summarize. I mean, it's already summarized, but kind of, not summarize, but add your own thoughts and what you think of, or extra research can be done. I mean, the thing is, just write anything down. Write something that makes you better when writing. So express your points of view, right? Any extra experiments, research that have been done in the past, and so on. Okay? Now, anything else? What do we have here? Yeah, I think that's about it. So now, let's move on to the next page. Alright, you guys, so now let's move on to the next page. Here we have exercise A, activating ideas. So, what does it mean to know a word in English? So, you guys, what do you think it means to know a specific word in the English language? And for me, I'd say that knowing a word probably means the meaning of the word, obviously, and using it correctly in sentences, so grammar. Obviously, knowing how to pronounce the word is obviously very important. And finally, spelling. Knowing how to spell the word correctly, right? So all of these are important to know a word in English. Now, let's go to exercise B here. Let me open it so you guys can get a better view. Here we have, read the assignment. What kind of essay is required? Tick the correct one. So here we have Faculty of Education, Assignment 1. How can teachers ensure that new vocabulary items are remembered? Discuss with reference to research into memory. Okay, so based on the essay that we should, or the assignment given, I think that this is going to be an argument essay, right? Because how can teachers ensure that new vocab items are remembered? You're going to discuss with reference to research into memory, okay? So I'd say this is an argument essay, right? What else do we have? Here we have discuss the assignment question in pairs. Make a note of some of your ideas. Okay. So this is going to be based on me. You should make your own notes of your own ideas. Okay. So how can teachers ensure that new vocab items are remembered? For that, I'd probably say that, you know, teachers can ensure new vocab items are remembered by constantly revising the grammar, vocab, and spelling of words. Okay, asking students to always repeat words that can help words stick, right? You can also, or teachers can also give students different types of exercises, right? That is also a fun way to engage students so they don't forget, or you ensure that they learn the new vocab items. You could also make students copy information from the board. Also, I think that one's a little outdated. Nobody wants to write down a whole board. And, you know, the good old giving homework. I think that giving homework can help, but a lot of teachers abuse this. So, in my point of view is, if you're going to give homework, make sure that it's easy and straight to the point. You don't want to have someone study for 7+ hours just doing homework. It becomes really annoying. Okay, so you should tell me your ideas in the comments below and make a note of your ideas. Okay, now let's go to exercise C. Here we have noticing the discourage structure. Okay, so now we're gonna have to go to the text here and read this essay, and based on this essay we're gonna have questions around each section. So we have the importance of rehearsal in vocabulary learning. Research has shown that new information does not stay in short-term memory very long. If new information is not rehearsed, it is forgotten very quickly. For example, Peterson and Peterson, 1959, demonstrated the value of rehearsal. Rehearsal of new words is extremely important in language learning. Teachers should provide opportunities for the rehearsal of new vocabulary items. Rehearsal means going over something several times. Rehearsal could involve repetition or other activities. Vocabulary learning is about knowing words. There are 4 main components of knowing a word in a foreign language: meaning, pronunciation, spelling, and usage. The first component of knowing a word is meaning, which is the dictionary definition of the word. It is also the connections between a word and other words. Teachers could ask students to match words with their dictionary definitions. Students could also match words with their opposites or with synonyms. Secondly, we have pronunciation. Pronunciation of words involves the sound of individual letters. It also involves the stress in multisyllable words. Teachers could drill new words on their own and in sentences. Thirdly, spelling. Spelling rules in English are complicated. Students could write out a new word 10 times to rehearse the spelling, or correct misspelled words. Finally, there is usage, which means the way the word is used in a sentence. Students could complete sentences with new words correctly or write their own sentences with new words. In this essay, I have explained the importance of rehearsal in vocabulary learning. I have also described the 4 components of knowing a word. Finally, I have recommended some activities to rehearse each component. Excuse me. So that was the text, the essay. Now let's go to exercise C. So here we have, read the first paragraph of the essay on the opposite page. What is the writer's general answer to the assignment question? Okay, so what's the writer's point of view of the assignment question? So how can teachers ensure that new vocab items are remembered? And for that, we'll probably say that teachers should ensure that all new vocab is rehearsed. Okay? So that's what it says in the first paragraph. Okay? And then we have number 2. Read the second paragraph. Which terms does the writer define? How does he/she define each term? Okay, so we'll probably say that the writer defines rehearsal. The writer is defining rehearsal, knowing a certain word. So the writer uses means and is about to define each term. Okay? So again, one more time. The writer defines rehearsal and knowing a word. And the writer uses means and is about to define each term. Okay? So that was number 2. Now let's go to number 3. Here we have, read the third paragraph. How does the writer introduce the 4 components of knowing each word? Okay, so the writer describes all the components, or let's start with the first component. Let me actually take a look here. We have the dictionary definition of the word. So notice when I talked earlier, I didn't say the dictionary definition, I just said the meaning, the general meaning of the word. No, in the writer's point of view is that in order to know a word in English, you should know the dictionary definition of the word and how it connects between a word and other words in a sentence. Okay? Now, secondly, what do we have? What was it? Yeah, okay, so we had pronunciation. So, again, in the writer's point of view, pronunciation of words involves the sound of individual letters. Okay? So that's the second component. And then we have a third, this one's really simple, spelling, right? Self-explanatory. And finally, we have usage. So in the writer's point of view, usage means the way a word is used in a sentence. So again, just like what I said, basically using the correct grammar with a word when used in a sentence. Okay? What else do we have? We have 4. Read the final paragraph. Which tense does the writer use in this paragraph and why? And let me actually take a look here. I'll probably say, I think it's the present perfect simple. Yeah, so present perfect simple. And the reason for that is that it's used to link events in the past with the present. Hence why we said present perfect simple. Okay? So that was exercise C. Now let's go to the vocab box. You guys know what to do. So we have complicated, component, correctly, extremely, foreign language, forget/forgot, forgotten, meaning, opportunity, provide, rehearsal, synonym. Okay, that was the vocab box. What do we have here? Here we have D, writing notes. So complete the notes at the bottom of the page with information from the essay. Okay, so here we have some notes based on the essay that we just read. Okay, So we have rehearsal and vocab learning. So we have terms, rehearsal. So yeah, these are all. And then we have research, Peterson 1959 equals value of rehearsal. Again, correct. Then we have vocab learning. So 1 was meaning, first component was meaning and its definitions, opposites, and synonyms. 2 was pronunciation, so sounds and the stress on certain words. And 3, what do you guys think? I think it was, oh yeah, it was spelling. Okay, so we can write down spelling. So spelling rules are complicated. Remember when we read that? And finally, we have, what was it? It was usage. Okay, so the writer referred to it as usage equals use in a sentence. Okay, so that was the vocab learning. And then we have rehearsal. So for example, match word and meaning. For example, drill. I would also give another example is write the word 10 times. Oops. So write the word 10 times. I read it somewhere here. Okay, so write the word 10 times. And again, another example is to write sentences down. Okay, so you can say write sentences. Okay, so these were the notes with information from the essay. Okay, now you guys are going to write that essay again, but you're going to rewrite the whole essay in 4 paragraphs from the information in the notes. So don't look at this, just based on the notes that you see on the information here, write an essay in 4 paragraphs. So shouldn't be too hard, you guys. Okay, so yeah, that was it. Now let's move on to the next page. Alright, you guys, so now let's move on to the next page. Here we have 1.11, learning new writing skills, the argument essay. And we talked a little bit about the argument essay, and we'll get into more detail, okay, later on. So here we have reviewing vocab. This one's the one that we always start with, really simple. So rewrite these words with the correct spelling. So here we have information. Obviously the R is missing, so information. Okay, then we have definition. We'll write that down. Definition, like so. Research, missing an A, so research. Then we have language, okay, missing a U. And what is number 5, you guys? Number 5 is ensure. Remember, talked about this word. So ensure has no H. Then we have opportunity, OPPORTUNITY. Okay, so opportunity, not not E, it's another O. Then we have component. Component has an O and not a U. Okay, so component. Then we have importance. So importance, again, an A and not an E. Then we have recommend. So recommend, okay, double M. And finally, we have individual. So INDIVIDUAL. Okay, so missing an A. So we have information, definition, research. I actually wrote that the exact same way. So A. So research, language, ensure, opportunity, component, importance, recommend, and individual. Okay. Now let's, here we have the vocab box. Let's just take a quick look at it before we move on. So we have argument, best known, formal, individual, meaningless, multisyllable, recommend, regularly, show/showed, shown, test, with reference to. Okay? So now let's go to identifying a new skill. Let's actually hop to skills check 1 here. Here we have one type of essay presents an argument. Okay, so you guys remember the argument essay that we talked about? So here we have an example. How can teachers ensure that new vocab items are remembered? Discuss with reference to research into memory. Okay, so you must present an argument to answer the question in the title. So for you to answer the question in the title, you're going to have to write an argument essay. And what is an argument essay? It's basically starting with an introduction and also including a thesis statement. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And then you're going to have to use defining terms, different terms, okay, and then state your points. So 1, 2, 3, right? You're basically having an argument or writing an argument down, right? And finally, you summarize your thoughts, okay? So now let's go. How many sections does an argument essay have? Okay, so based on what we just read here in skills check, it looks like we have 4. We have 4 sections, okay? So an argument essay has 4 sections, okay? And then we have, what else do we have? Here we have, look again at the essay in lesson 1.10, find and label each part of the essay. I say don't do this right now, so basically I'm going to just let you know how to do it, so you can do it later. So what you're going to do is, obviously, you know each section now, so we have introduction, thesis statement, defining terms, and points, and explanation. So you'll go back to this page right here, so the original essay. Where is the introduction? So I'd say the introduction is from research to is extremely important in language learning. It's still here, right? So that's the introduction. And then we have thesis statement. It's right here. So teachers should provide opportunities for the rehearsal of new vocab items. That's the thesis statement, okay? So you can go back after writing or after finishing this lesson and writing or not writing, basically labeling the different sections in this essay, all right? But for now, we'll leave that for later. All right. So now let's go to exercise C and let's take a little, or not, let's talk a little bit more about thesis statements. Okay. So the introduction to an argument essay should contain a thesis statement, and the statement is usually in 1 sentence, and it answers the question in the essay title. So if you take a look here we have the essay title, right? The importance of rehearsal in vocab learning. And here we have the thesis statement. Here we have teachers should provide opportunities for the rehearsal of new vocabulary items. Okay? So what is the thesis statement exactly? Basically, let me say it in a different way. So when starting an introduction in an argument essay, you gotta have a thesis statement right after the introduction, right? And it's usually 1 sentence. Okay, but it can be more, but it's usually 1 sentence, and that thesis statement answers the question in the essay title. Okay, so that was. Let's actually look at some of the examples. So here we have teachers should give opportunities for the rehearsal of new vocabulary items. Here we had the question, remember, how can teachers ensure that new vocabulary items are remembered? And here we have the thesis statement, teachers should give opportunities for the rehearsal of new vocabulary items. That is one example of a thesis statement. How did it work? In this case, the essay should give ways in which teachers can give opportunities for rehearsal. Okay? I hope you kind of get the idea of what I'm trying to say here. So now here we have exercise C. Read skills check 2, then cover it and write the thesis statement. Well, too bad, we already did that. So teachers should give opportunities for the rehearsal of new vocab items. Okay? Then we have 2. Which sentences below are good thesis statements for the essay question in skills check 1? Explain your answer. Okay, so here we have 4 different thesis statements, and which one best fits the question in skills check 1? So here we have, how can teachers ensure that new vocabulary items are remembered? Okay, so for 2, okay, so let's take a look. So we have students must learn new vocabulary items. Teachers should ensure that new vocabulary items are remembered. Teachers should test students regularly on new vocabulary items. And finally, vocabulary is hard to learn. What do you guys think? I'd definitely say that teachers, or C, teachers should test students regularly on new vocabulary items. And my reasoning is because it's basically a logical way for teachers to ensure that new vocabulary items are remembered by students. Okay? Makes sense? That is what a thesis statement is. Now let's go to number 3. Study the essay questions below. What do you think about each topic? Write a thesis statement for each one. Okay, so here we have different essay questions. Okay, So what do you personally think about each topic? And write a thesis statement for each one. Okay, so this is going to be entirely up to you as a student, but I'll also solve it myself. Okay, so for example, here we have, how important is homework in language learning? What do you guys think? Do you think homework is an essential part of language learning? Or do you think it's useful, or does it not help in any way? Personally, I'd say that homework is useful for some parts of learning, or language learning, I should say, but not others. So it's not the most important thing, but it should still be implemented. Okay? Now let's go to B. We have, how often should teachers set formal tests in language classrooms? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that formal tests are not useful at all, so no need? Or do you think that formal tests are maybe useful for reading and writing, but not for speaking? What do you think? For me personally, I'd say that teachers should set formal tests regularly, so I do think it's important to inform learning. Okay? Now let's go to C. How useful is rote learning with vocabulary items? I'd say, actually, before I say that, what do you guys think? I gotta ask you guys. So, do you think that there's no benefit to rote learning, or do you think that it's extremely valuable for certain words and not so much for others? What do you think? And for me, rote learning, as in obviously repeating the words, repetition, I'd say that rote learning is an essential first stage with vocabulary items, just because, man, you know, like we just studied a couple minutes ago, that, you know, repetition or saying things over and over really helps you to, you know, memorize the vocab items. Okay? So now that we got done with exercise C, let's go to exercise D, adding extra information to SVC sentences. And you guys remember SVC sentences? I'll go back in a second. So here we have, look back at skills check 3 on page 23 and add the extra information to each basic sentence below. Okay, and write or rewrite each sentence. So let's go back for a second, page 23, just so we can have a refresher. So here we have understanding SVO, and SVO stands for subject, verb, or object / complement structure, right? And we know that English uses a basic SVO in academic sentences, okay? And there's always extra information about the S, and so in this case the subject and the object or complement, okay? So here we have examples. Revision of the lecture notes is the key to successful learning. We talked about this before, okay? So basically some information can be hidden, okay, or these are called extra information. So now let's go back to page 30. Yep. Let's open exercise D. Here we have add the extra information. So here we have the sentence and we have extra information. So we're gonna have to add these extra information to the basic sentences below. Okay, so here we have, there are components. Okay, how are we gonna go about this? I'd say we have 4 of knowing a word in a foreign language and main. So I'll probably say there are 4, right, main components, right, of knowing a word in a foreign, right, in a foreign, I wrote that wrong, foreign language, right, you guys? So there are components 4 of knowing a word in a foreign language and main, so I wrote it down as there are 4 main components of knowing a word in a foreign language. Okay? Then we have number 2. The component is meaning first a word of knowing. I'll probably say the first component, right? The first component of knowing a word is meaning, right? Now it makes a lot more sense. So the first component of knowing a word is meaning. Then we have number 3. Pronunciation involves the stress also of words, of and words. Then we have multisyllable. Probably say pronunciation also involves the stress of multi-syllable words, right? Makes sense? So pronunciation also involves the stress of multi-syllable words. Let's go to number 4. There are models from researchers of memory, several and different. How can we go about this? I'll say there are several models of memory from different researchers, right? So there are several models of memory from different researchers. Okay? Then we have the model is famous by Atkinson and Shiffrin, the most in this area in multi-store memory. This one's long. So we'll say, based on what we read a couple pages back, we'll say I think I should write this in capitals, so the multi-store, right? So the multi-store memory model by, what was his name? Atkinson and Shiffrin is the most famous in this area. And I wrote that wrong. Hold on, give me a second. Famous, and I think Shiffrin's correct. Yeah, Shiffrin's correct. Full stop. Okay, so the multi-store memory model by Atkinson and Shiffrin is the most famous in this area. Okay? Excuse me. And then we have number 6. Memory is the stage final of this model in long term. I'll probably start with long term. So I'll say long term memory is the final stage of this model. Okay? So long-term memory is the final stage of this model. Okay? So that was adding extra information to each basic sentence below. Now, let's go to exercise E. I think this one's the exact same. Let us take a look here. So here we have rewrite each sentence as an exercise D. Okay, so again, it's the same exact exercise. So let's keep going, why not? So we have pronunciation involves the sounds, and then we have of words, of letters, and individual. What do you guys think? We'll say pronunciation of words involves excuse me, the sounds of individual letters, right? Yeah, so pronunciation of words involves the sounds of individual letters. Number 2, I have described the components for a word of knowing. I'll say I have described, right? I have described the 4 components of knowing a word, right? So I have described the 4 components of knowing, and I did not write the A, so knowing a word. Okay? And then we have 3. Information pushes out information. New from short term, old in memory. We'll say new information pushes out old information from short-term memory. I know I got that wrong, so information. Okay, so new information pushes out old information from short-term memory. Okay, Miller conducted research, the researcher the best known in this area. So again, I'll say the researcher, obviously. Who was it? Miller? Yeah, so the researcher Miller conducted the best known, and I wrote that wrong. Let me go back. Known research. So the researcher Miller conducted the best known research in this area. Okay? And full stop. Then we have number 5. Memory can hold information 7 pieces short term of meaningless and about. So I'll say short term memory can hold about 7 pieces of information of meaningless, what was it? Information, right? So information. Okay, so short-term memory can hold about 7 pieces of information, or 7 pieces of, I'd say, meaningless information, and no need for that double off. Okay, so short-term memory can hold about 7 pieces of meaningless information. All right, and finally we have number 6. Researchers looked at memory, a group of baric and long term. So we'll say baric, right, and a group of researchers looked at long-term memory. Okay, so baric and a group of researchers looked at long-term memory. Okay, so that was exercise E, the same as exercise D, adding extra information. Okay, and I think that's about it. Yeah, so that's it, you guys. Now let's move on to the next page. Alright, you guys, so now moving on to the next page, here we have 1.12, applying new writing skills, long-term memory, and testing. Okay, so again, we have reviewing vocab and grammar this time. So let's take a look. Here we have, there are 2 mistakes in each sentence. Correct the mistakes. So here we have number 1, research shown that new information does not stay in short-term memory very much. What do you guys think the problem is? Or what do you guys think the problem is? So research shown, this is not correct. We're missing the word has. So we'll say research has shown, right? So research has shown that new information does not stay in short-term memory. Very much is wrong. We'll say very long, right? So research has shown that new information does not stay in short-term memory very long. Okay? Now on to number 2. We have, for example, Peterson and Peterson, 1959, is demonstrated the value of the rehearsal. And I think you guys have a clue. So for example, Peterson and Peterson, 1959, is not needed. So where is it? Yeah, we'll get rid of this S right here. So save. Peterson and Peterson, 1959, demonstrated the value of rehearsal. You don't need the word the here. So again, the, not needed. So the value of rehearsal. On to number 3, we have teachers should ensuring that new vocabulary rehearsed. And this one's simple. So teachers should ensure and not ensuring. Okay? So ensure, save, that new vocabulary is, so we're missing an is here, so is rehearsed. Save. Okay, so teachers should ensure that new vocabulary is rehearsed. And then we have number 4. They could to provide opportunities in class or for the homework. Oh, and that one was confusing. Wow. Okay, so they could, we don't need the word to here, so we'll just get rid of that. Okay, so that's 1. So they could provide opportunities in class or for homework. I don't need the word the. The word the just messed everything up. Okay, so for, can I do this? Yeah. So in class or for homework. Okay? Then we have number 5. Rehearsal means go over something several of times. So number 5, rehearsal means, okay, go over is wrong. We'll say going over. Going over. Something several times, not of. So we don't need the of here. So times only. So rehearsal means going over something several times. Okay? And then we have number 6. They are 4 main components of know a word in a foreign language. So we'll say there are 4 main components of knowing, not know, knowing, ing, of knowing a word in a foreign language. Okay? So they is also wrong, actually. So we'll say there and not they. Okay? I'm not talking about people. So there are 4 main components of knowing a word in a foreign language. Okay? On to number 7. We have first component is meaning, which involving dictionary definition. So we'll say the first. So I'm not going to start with first, we'll say the first. So let me write that in small. And then we'll say the first. So the first component is meaning. And here we have a comma, actually. So write that here. So I got confused for a second. I was like, wow, it's weird. So the first component is meaning, which involves, so not involving, involves dictionary definition. Okay? Involves dictionary definition. On to number 8. We have pronouncing of words involves sound of individual letters. We'll say pronouncing is wrong, so we'll say pronunciation. Pronunciation. Okay? So, and actually this one, no, there is an extra O. Let me get rid of that for you guys. Okay, so pronunciation of words involves sound of, I'd say the sound involves, here's an extra the, so involves the sound of individual letters. Okay? And then we have number 9. In this essay, I explained the importance of rehearse and vocabulary learning. So in this essay, I have, we're missing a have, so I have explained the importance of, not rehearse, it'll be rehearsal. Okay, so rehearsal. Alright? I have explained the importance of rehearsal in vocabulary learning. And finally, number 10, I also have described the 4 components of knowing a word. Again, we're going to switch these. So also and have are going to be switched. So we'll say have also described the 4 components of knowing a word. Okay, so that was reviewing vocab and grammar. Now let's move on. So here we have exercise B, thinking and organizing. So you're going to write an essay for the assignment on the right. Okay, so let's take a look. Here we have Faculty of Education, assignment 2, how important are prompts in language testing? Discuss with reference to research into memory. Okay, so what kind of essay is required, you guys, to answer this question right here. What do you guys think? That's correct. It's, again, an argument essay that we talked a lot about. So what is your answer to the question, and write a thesis statement. Okay, so what is your personal answer to the question, you guys? So if I ask you how important are prompts in language testing, how would you answer me? Right? What do you think? And you can answer me by saying a thesis statement or writing one down. I mean, you could say prompts are an essential part of language testing for grammar and vocab/writing, speaking, and etc. You could say prompts are useful for some components, right, such as, for example, grammar and vocab, but not for other components like essay writing. Or do you just think that free essays are better tests of language learning than prompted answers? These are all options for you to choose from, okay? So let's actually go to the vocab box, just get it over with. So we have explanation, go over, importance, long-term memory, point, rehearse, stay, term, testing, thesis. Okay? So that was the vocab box. What do we have here? Okay, so writing about testing, you can skip this part. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit about the correct essay writing plan that you're gonna use to write this argument essay. Okay, so you gotta build longer sentences with extra information. Remember when we talked about this here? So we talked about SVC sentences and how to add extra information. We literally did like 12 exercises based on this part alone. Okay, so I want you guys to add extra information, your own extra information, to SVC sentences. Okay, that'll help your essay look a little bit longer. Okay, and write a conclusion with the present perfect tense. So try to write a conclusion with the present perfect tense. So now what you're going to do now is go, and after this video, go and write down this essay, this argument essay about how important are prompts in language testing. Okay, and here's something to remember it by. So here we have P point, as in state the point, right? EXP as an explanation, so give the meaning, give your understanding, and EG, obviously, example, and give an example of what you're talking about. Okay, you could also, for exercise D, you could take a look, if you're in a class, you can take a look at your partner's essay and compare your work to your partner, right? And you can make any necessary changes if you want. Okay, so yeah, that's about it, guys. So now let's move on to the next page. Here we're going to be talking about essays, right? So writing practice argument essays, right? And you guys remember we talked about the different types of essays, and just before I move on, I wanted to let you guys know that in the EL111 and in the EL112 we write essays, right? So I wanted to let you guys know that we no longer just write a paragraph or two and that's it. No. So from now on, prepare yourself to write essays. What are the different types of essays? Here, take a look. We'll go back. We talked about this. So here we have the different types of essays. So we have for and against, the argument essay, right? A research report, discussion, and persuasive, right? And for now, we took the argument essay, and we're going to continue talking about it a little bit. But as we go along, for different themes, we're going to be talking about different types of essays. Okay? So I hope that cleared the air a little bit. So what exactly is an essay, you guys? I'll just talk a little bit about this for a second before we move to the thesis statement. So what's an essay? An essay is a piece of composition, right? So it can be made up of either 3 to 5 or 5 paragraphs, right? And I mean, an essay usually addresses topics that are bigger in scope, that can't be addressed in 1 or 2 paragraphs. Okay, so whatever you can't cover in 1 paragraph can be expanded and addressed at length in a certain essay, right? So unity of purpose, relevance, and coherence are qualities that tutors actually look for in good essays. Okay? So when writing a paragraph, you're usually told to include a topic sentence, right? Some supporting details and usually just a conclusion, right? Does this apply to an essay? Well, yes, but no. Let me explain. So if we're talking specifically about paragraphs, then yes, you're fine. But an essay should actually have an introduction, as you'll see here. Let me give you a look. So in this part, you see that now you have an introduction section, right? So you must give an introduction to your essay, and that's usually, or always, not usually, paragraph 1, okay? You can have up to 3 body paragraphs, and finally a conclusion, right? So it can either end on paragraph 3 or 5, depending on how big your essay is, okay? So now that we got essays out of the way, now let's talk specifically about a thesis statement. So what exactly is a thesis statement, you guys? A thesis statement is a phrase, or a statement I should say, that, and I'll talk a little bit about it, or where it's located first. So it's usually located in the beginning of an essay, right? So right after the introduction, let me actually go back so you guys can get a better idea. So usually right after the introduction, as you'll see here, so here we have in language learning, and then we have teachers should provide opportunities for the rehearsal of new vocabulary items. So that is a thesis statement. And what does a thesis statement do exactly, right? So a thesis statement talks in more detail about the topic, or the topic of assignment, in this case the essay, right? And it must answer the assignment question. And obviously there will be some assignments that are not in question form, so it usually often helps to convert it into a question, as we'll see in the example. So here we have, write a report on the advantages of developing learners' vocabulary and language learning. Okay, so this is just a normal sentence. So how do I change that into question? Take a look. So if I say, what are the advantages of developing learners' vocabulary and language learning? Now that I turned it into question, it becomes much easier for me to write a thesis statement about it. So I'm basically rephrasing things, if you get what I mean. So take a look. Here we have, developing learners' vocabulary and language learning is an essential strategy and has many advantages. Okay, take a second, pause the video, read the question again, and then read the thesis statement. Okay, so again, developing learners' vocabulary and language learning is an essential strategy and has many advantages. Okay, so to answer the assignment question, right, your thesis statement must include your main idea, or the main idea of the assignment, right? You should express your conclusion about the subject, so your personal conclusion, not anybody else's, okay? And you should tell the reader how you will interpret the significance of the subject matter under discussion, okay? So basically, your point of view. Okay, and you can also tell the reader what to expect from the rest of your essay going into the body, and finally your conclusion. Okay, so now that you have a better idea of what a thesis statement is, now let's go to the exercises. So here we have, take the most appropriate thesis statement for the assignments below and explain your answers. So here we have, explain why a healthy diet is important, right? So that's assignment 1. What do you guys think would be the most appropriate thesis statement for that assignment? So we have, a healthy diet is very important for several reasons. People should eat fruits, vegetables, proteins, and dairy products to maintain a healthy diet. Apples are one of the most nutritious foods on earth. And finally, a healthy diet is important because it increases energy, prevents illness, and promotes well-being in all people. What do you guys think? So for me, I'd say that D is the correct one. A healthy diet is important because it increases energy, prevents illnesses, and promotes well-being in all people. Why? And that's because I answered the explain section and why a healthy diet is important. If you go to apples, I'm not talking specifically about apples, so that's already out of the question. People should eat fruits, vegetables, proteins to maintain a healthy diet. Well, that's to maintain a healthy diet, right? So if I had the assignment say, like, what should people eat to be healthy, then this would fit, but that's not the case, okay? And a healthy diet is very important for several reasons. Again, not the question, okay? So he wants you to explain. So a healthy diet is very important. Yeah, cool, but what is it? Why? Okay, so D, a healthy diet is important because it increases energy, prevents illness, and promotes well-being in all people, okay? Now let's go to assignment 2. Here we have oral examinations should be mandatory in all universities. Do you agree or disagree? And again, this will be up to you. Do you as a student agree or disagree, right? So it is impossible to conduct oral examinations in universities. Do you think so? Students who take oral examinations will be very tense and unable to respond appropriately, right? Oral examinations should not be mandatory in all universities because they are hard to conduct and not reliable. Or when students enroll in your university, they should have oral examinations. So for me personally, I'd say that oral examinations should not be mandatory in all universities simply because they are hard to conduct and simply not as reliable as written examinations, right? If you combine them both, then that makes for better results, okay? So again, read the assignment. Oral examinations should be mandatory in all universities. Do you agree or disagree? So again, your answer will tell you which one to choose. Okay, so in my case, oral examinations should not be mandatory in all universities because they are hard to conduct and not reliable. Alright, now let's dive a little bit deeper into thesis statement and let's write our own. So we have assignment 1. Written examinations are insufficient to assess the actual level of language learners. Do you agree or disagree? Again, I'm gonna rephrase this depending on whether if I agree or disagree or if I'm in sort of a neutral spot. So for me personally, I mean, I definitely think that that's true. You know, written examinations are not enough to assess the actual level of language learners. I think there's more to it than just written examinations. So what can I say? Again, your answer may be different. If you disagree, your thesis statement will be different, okay? So I'd say there is more to the assessment of the actual level of language learners than just examinations, right? Looks really clean. So again, written examinations are insufficient to assess the actual level of language learners. Do you agree or disagree? Obviously, I agree, so I'll say there is more to the assessment of the actual level of language learners than just written examinations. Okay? So that was assignment 1. Now let's go to assignment 2. Here we have, how important is vocabulary in developing language proficiency? So now you don't get an agree or disagree, you get a how important. So now we know that vocabulary is important when it comes to developing language proficiency. But just how important? Okay? So what do you think? Do you think that vocab is meh? I mean, yeah, it's important, but not that important? Or do you think that it's key and it's really important in developing language proficiency? So personally, I think that vocab is really important. So I'd say vocabulary is key to developing language proficiency, right? Again, this can be totally up to you. Assignment number 3. Does technology enhance or interfere with the learning process? Again, another one that's entirely up to you. Do you think that technology enhances the learning process? Does it help you, or does it simply mess with you? Does it interfere with your learning process, makes it harder, tougher for you to study? What do you think? Personally, I think I don't think it like enhances or interferes. I think it depends on the person. So I'm kind of neutral here. So I'd say technology can both enhance or interfere with the learning process. Again, I'm rephrasing the statement to my opinion, right? My conclusion. Okay, so again, does technology enhance or interfere with the learning process? I'll say technology can both enhance or interfere with the learning process. Okay, you guys? So that was thesis statements. I hope you now know how to write your own thesis statement. Now, let's go to exercise B, writing an argument essay. Like we talked about the different essays in the beginning, now we are going to talk specifically about the argument essay. So in an argument essay, you give your opinion about a subject of debate. Okay, so you guys know subjects of debates are subjects of debate are subjects that not everybody has the same opinion on. Okay, so for example, some people believe in global warming, some people think that it's natural, right? Some people think that it's man-made, some people think it's natural, that the world is going to be messed up really soon. Okay, so these are subjects of debate. So you must provide your own reasons and make inductions and conclusions to support your views. Okay, so if you're going to write an argument essay, make sure that you provide your own reasons and make inductions and conclusions to support your views, because after all, it is going to be an argument. Okay, so follow this writing plan here. So you're going to start with an introduction, right? So basically introduce the topic, give your thesis statement, right? And you can outline the argument of the essay and give reasons. Okay, and then for your body, let's say if you're going to write 3 paragraphs, paragraph 1, you can write the topic sentence or reason number 1, any supporting details that you might have, and concluding sentence 1. So concluding for paragraph 1. And then you'll start with paragraph 2. If there are 2 reasons, right, and even more reasons if you want to talk, feel free. And again, topic sentence. Now you're on reason number 2, and any supporting details for that, and again, concluding for that paragraph. And again, one more paragraph if you're going to go for 3 paragraphs, right? So now 3 reasons. Again, topic sentence, so it's the same thing, okay? And then any supporting details for that, and finally your concluding sentence 3, okay? And then for your conclusion, you're gonna restate your thesis argument, right? Not argument, your thesis statement that you talked about earlier, okay? And you'll just summarize your argument and your point of view and why you think that this, or your point of view of the subject of debate, okay? So that is an argument essay in a nutshell. Okay, so here we have, on this page right here, you have choose one of the arguments stated in exercise A2, then use the structure below to develop your argument essay. Okay, so let's just leave all of this. I want you guys to choose your own subject of debate, right? So choose something that has, you strongly disagree with other people on, and use this writing plan and start writing. There is no better time than now. Go ahead, write your own introduction, again, like we talked about, body, and then write your conclusion. But please don't copy it, write your own points of view. Okay? What do we have here? Yeah, okay. So let's say after you finish writing, now go to this page right here, right? And give yourself an honest score, or you can let a friend or a classmate help you with this, right? So you guys can swap or exchange essays to rate each other's essays, basically. Okay? So you'll take a look at 1, introduction. So is the topic of debate effectively introduced in your essay? And you give that a rating out of 10, right? Is the thesis statement stating the writer's view and says how the topic will be interpreted? I always have a problem with that word. Okay, so out of 5, okay, and you'll go so on and so on. So supporting reasons stated briefly, okay, you can always give your own marks, okay, and then move on to the body. Talk about the different paragraphs, right? Your supporting examples and reasons, are they good enough, are they not, okay? Any closing remarks, how did you do it, okay, how did you manage, all right? And again, with all of these, and then you can go to the conclusion and your reasons summarized. Did you summarize your reasons appropriately? Okay, give that points out of 10. And your point of view expressed and thesis statement restated. Did you do these 2 correctly, or did you mess up and start shouting in your essay? Okay, so yeah, a total out of 80. Let me know what you got. Okay, So yeah, I think that's about it for writing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.